Hi everybody, this is Tiffany with Straight Stitching. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another tutorial that I like to share with you. It is for a quilt block that is called Little Log Cabin. If you can see behind me, I'm starting to piece together the quilt that I will have following putting together all of the blocks that I'm making of this particular pattern. Again, it's a quick and easy pattern, so stick with me and I will show you how to put it together. So this is the quilt block. You can see that it is made up of four different sections, and they are two sections that are repeated. They have the background square that is at the corner of each of the four smaller blocks, and then when you piece them together you get this really nice pattern here. So again, I will share with you how to put this together. To make this quilt block, you're going to need a background fabric as well as a combination of 4 prints or 4 solid colors or a mixture thereof. For the pieces that you see lined up in the center of the cutting board here, these pieces are measured at 2.5 inches squared, and the pieces along this outer edge of the cutting board, they measure 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And then for the longer pieces that are going to make up the outside of your mini log cabins, these pieces measure at 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So this is a perfect quilt block if you have some extra jelly roll strips laying around. It's great. Or of course you can cut the material from yardage or fat quarters or any other material, but it's really great for jelly rolls so that you don't have very much cutting to do. So if you can see the quilt block here, I've laid it out on this black background so you can see it a bit better. So again, it's made up of two different smaller log cabins. So you have this one here that has the polka dots, and then the other one that has the black, white, and gray material. So to piece this together, you're going to start like other log cabins with your smallest pieces. So we'll piece the 2.5 inches squared background piece with one of our colored or printed pieces. And so those are the ones you see here, the red and the gray, and then you just continue to build on the log cabin until you end up with 4 different mini log cabins that will then be put together to make up the larger quilt block. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're ready to start. I'm going to start by piecing together my background fabric with the red square here, and I'm going to make 2 of these because there are 2 for 1 quilt block. And we're going to sew using a 1/4 inch seam. And you just do that right sides facing right sides. I'm also going to do the other half of the block, so I'll piece together a white background piece with the gray background piece, and I will make 2 of these small blocks here. And if you're new to quilting, you notice that I have just quilted one quilt block right after the other. That is a technique called chain piecing, and that's useful when you're making multiple of the same size or type of block so that you don't have to continue to break thread and kind of restart your threading here. So that helps to speed up your sewing a bit. So right now I'm just going through and I'm going to snip these small blocks apart. And I like to iron my material or my blocks with the seams open. So I'm going to finger press the seams open for these blocks. Now because this is a mini log cabin, you don't actually, and I guess with any other quilt block, you don't need to iron the seams flat. However, I am going to take the time to do that just because I think it helps to make a nicer quilt block overall. So I'm just finger pressing these seams open, and then I'm going to take them over to my iron and press the seams open, and then I will come back and we will continue to piece together the little delta. That's not actually what it's called, but that's what I'm calling my particular quilt because it is red and white, so in the colors of my sorority. But yeah, so this is a little log cabin, so I'm going to go and iron these seams flat. Okay, so I have my quilt blocks ironed with the seams pressed open, and so now I'm just going to continue to build on each of the little log cabins here. So we'll continue with the side here with the red, and so I'm going to take one of my pieces that is 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and I'm going to just place that over top this little quilt block here, and I'm going to line it up and then sew it together with a 1/4 inch seam. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to continue on and do the same for the little log cabin that is centered with the gray pieces. And so I'm just taking my 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches piece and lining that up with the quilt block that we've put together. And I'm going to sew that with a 1/4 inch seam. And again, there are 2 of these. So I will make the second one here. So repeating that process. So now that I have kind of the inner ring of this little log cabin put together, I'm going to again finger press my seams open. Okay, and now I'm going to take this to the iron and flatten these seams, and then we will continue to build, put the outer ring on the little log cabins. Okay, so I have my pieces here, and so we're going to just continue to build on it, on this block here. So we're going to take the 4.5 inch by 2.5 inch piece of the black material here, and then we're going to line that up along the side of this particular block, and then we will sew that with a 1/4 inch seam, and we will do the same for the second piece and then build on the gray side as well. Okay, so next we're going to take the other half of this quilt block and add the red polka dots to the side here. So that, again, this is the 2.5 inch piece by 4.5 inches, and we're just going to sew that on with a 1/4 inch seam. And we will do 2. And then we'll again take it to, we'll press the seams open with our fingers and then take it to the sewing machine to flatten the seams. And when you're doing the log cabin, you're really just building like smaller pieces on top of larger pieces. So you have your 2 smaller pieces here to make a 4.5 inch piece, and then you line your 4.5 inch piece against those 2 pieces. And then as we're beginning to build the outer ring of this little log cabin, then we're building on top of the opposite side of this block. So you're just layering and layering until you get to the particular size block that you want. And so in this case, we'll just have the other side of this block here with the black and white material, and then we'll have 2 of our little log cabins put together, and then we'll put together the entire block. So let me take this to the iron and press the seams open. Okay, so we're going to piece on the last piece to both of the mini, or the little log cabins. I keep wanting to call it a mini log cabin, and that is not the name of this quilt block. So I'm lining up the 2.5 inch piece by 6.5 inch piece with the now long side of this block, and sewing that with the 1/4 inch seam. And we will do the same for the polka dot side. So lining up this 2.5 inch piece by 6.5 inches by on the longer side of this block. Okay, so I have my 4 little log cabins that I'm going to piece together to make the larger block. So you can see this is one corner, and I'm finger pressing the seams open, and then I will press it flat, and then we'll take the next step in putting together this quilt block. Okay, so we have the 4 corners of our quilt block put together, and so now we're going to arrange them. You really could arrange it any way you want to, but because they're 2 different blocks that have the same material, it kind of makes sense, and it looks nice to lay it out in this format here, the format of the block that we saw at the start. Okay, so I'm not going to trim these blocks down. I'm going to pin them together and continue sewing. So I'm going to take these 2 pieces here and line them up against the seams here, lining the seams up, and then I'm going to sew that with a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, and then I will do the same for the other half of the block. So again, just, it's difficult to see that. Just lining up the seams and then sewing them at a 1/4 inch. Okay, so pressing the seams open with my fingers. And then I'm going to take it to the iron to press those open really flat. Okay, so I have the bottom half and the top half of this quilt block put together. And so now I'm going to pin the top and bottom together, and I'm going to then sew it with a 1/4 inch seam, and then that will be the completion of this quilt block. Now I'm going to pin here right in the center where my seams line up, and then I'm also going to pin on the sides where the seams of the outer ring of the quilt, or the outer ring of the little log cabins, line up. So I think that will help it to be more square, and to make sure as you're sewing, as you're feeding your material through the sewing machine, it doesn't get out of alignment and make your block wonky. Okay, so put my leader piece through here. So you can see I have pin on both sides of the block, so lining up the seams of the outer ring of the little log cabins, and then I've pinned here in the center. So now I'll just feed this through. Okay, you want to remove the pins that are holding together the outer blocks of your little log cabins, and then we'll do our final finger press and take this to the iron. Okay, and so there you have it. This is the Little Log Cabin quilt block. Again, it's made up of 4 smaller log cabins or smaller little log cabins. And a reminder, you're going to need your background fabric that measures at 2.5 inches squared, and then you'll need 4 different fabrics, either a combination of prints, solids, or any variation thereof, and then you'll piece them together. So you'll end up with a quilt block that looks like this. I really like this block, and when you're putting your quilt together, there are, I'm sure there's more, but there's definitely 3 different layouts that you can obtain, and I will include images in this video so you can see what your different options will be. And it really, the final look will be dependent on the material that you decide to use for your block, and then how it all blends together. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that you have found it helpful, and I hope that as a beginner, it's something that you believe that you can do and that you'll give it a try. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to like the video and follow our channel. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.